Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Thanks for doing this. What's going on? Tell me. So you reached out to me online because you saw West Side, right?
I saw West Side, yeah, and I have a musical background myself, and I'm a sucker for a great, well, many great pop songs, and yeah, I really love the show. I mean, it's one of those things where I love music, and so yeah, really enjoyed the show and thought, oh well, I'll just check out the characters. And so I got, I Googled the show and some of the characters came up, some pictures, and then I was like, oh, you're on Instagram, and I obviously, resonated with the fact that you got sober during the show and thought, well, I'll follow him on Instagram and then we started messaging and here I am.
Yeah, that's so cool, the way we get to connect with each other. So you're in recovery yourself, right?
I am. I will be 7 years sober in September 1st.
Congratulations, that's huge. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
You play music?
Not so much anymore. I used to. I have a dancing, singing background, and I did it for many years, and then decided to. I was in a job where I was doing a lot of. Well, I was my last kind of musical gig was kind of electronic, like a live electronic house thing. And so working with a lot of DJs, and that kind of got me into an events job, which was corporate, but it was all, funny enough, it was for one of the brands that we used to do events for was Smirnoff vodka. So we were
Or
doing,
places you'll go.
I know, right? We were doing DJ events across Canada with Smirnoff vodka. So from that, I got into events, and that's kind of some of the work that I do these days is with events.
And what is the other stuff that you do? You work with a company called She Recovers, is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, it's an organization that supports women in recovery. It's been around. It started out actually. Don Nickel, who's one of the founders of She Recovers, has been sober for many years. I can't even remember, maybe 20, 25, maybe even longer than that. But she started writing a blog back in 2011, and it was really just a way for her to sort of express what she was going through in recovery. And her daughter, Taryn, is a yoga teacher, and they decided one day that they were going to do a retreat for women in recovery. And so they organized a retreat in Mexico, and it kind of took off from there. So I joined the organization in 2016. They brought me in to do an event in New York, and it was kind of the first big event that we did. It was 500 women that we got together for the weekend, and then we've kind of gone from there. So the work that I do with She Recovers is around, I'm still doing some of that kind of event and retreat planning with them. Um, I also, I'm a yoga teacher and I'm a dance facilitator. So this organization has trauma-informed yoga for women that are in recovery. Yeah. Conscious dance movement, it's all a part of just creating, we call it a patchwork of recovery. So, the women that are in our community are recovering in all kinds of ways and from all the things, right? It's not just alcohol, many things. So, the offerings that we have are really varied. And um, the organization kind of shifted, of course, like everything else, when the pandemic hit. And we got our nonprofit status in the U.S. So now we're a foundation, not for profit. So it's that's like a whole other thing to learn, but the focus is really just helping women recover and and making sure that all women can access recovery. Um,
Yeah,
so
that's a beautiful thing because sometimes it is hard, right, to create a safe environment for women. Like you go to 12-step groups sometimes, and a lot of women have been traumatized by men. So it feels safer to be in and amongst women.
yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, I come from, I got sober through the 12 steps. And for me, that's definitely, kind of the foundation of my recovery. I'm not so active anymore in 12 step, but um, it's again, people can recover, I mean, people should be able to recover whatever way they want. And nowadays, of course, there's so many different recovery pathways out there. There's so much that you can do. There's so much to explore. And
Thank God
in
for that.
our, yeah, absolutely, right. The women in our community are, it's kind of all over the map. Some of them are 12 steps, some of them are not. Some of them use yoga as a tool. Some of them are doing other kind of, wellness modalities that help them. But I think, for me, in my experience, and also what I see kind of in the recovery space, is that connection is so important, right? Connection with other like-minded, like-hearted individuals. Even I think this is a perfect example of a connection, right? Even me reaching out to you, go, well, he's sober, so I have something in common with him, so I'm going to reach out to him. And you going, well, what's she recovers, like that connection, even though we're all so different, that connection can really, I think, fill in our recovery. And it just gets better for me, in my experience, it's just gotten better and better. It's been a part of my growth.
Yeah, it gets better the more we, right? Yeah. So I don't know. There's like a tendency for addicts and alcoholics to isolate, as we all well know, right? And for whatever reason, it's hard for us in those beginning stages to reach out and make friends with people and let them in and let them get close to us. We really want. I heard somebody describe it in a meeting as like, he's like, I just kept on doing this. I was always trying to do it the Frank Sinatra way. I didn't want anybody
Yeah.
telling me how to do anything, even if it was like someone I had something in common with. I just didn't want to hear it from anybody how I should do it. I was going to figure it out. And then, you do that for long enough and you're like, wow, maybe I don't
Yeah.
want to do this.
Well,
Uh,
exactly. And, I feel like even, I mean, I'm almost 7 years in, and that is still my go-to. Like when shit hits the fan, I still want to hide and not show anybody what's happening and figure it out myself, right? Sort it out myself. And I still have, and every time I kind of catch myself doing that and I go, no, reach out, connect, to get onto a gathering, and I always feel better afterwards.
and the real magic, like they said to me early on, the real magic happens when you start to help other people, right? So I'm sure your work with all these women has been very cathartic for you and very healing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's really, I I was, as I said, I was, before I joined, the community of She Recovers and started working with them, I was in events. I was in food and beverage. So I was like, I think the first week that I stopped drinking, I had to attend a wine tasting. And I didn't, I did I just got to, I'm on antibiotics or something like that. But I was surrounded by booze all the time. And I knew that that wasn't going to be sustainable for me. I did it for a while and I actually did quite well. I managed to stay sober and to really just take care of myself in that environment. But it really sparked change for me. And definitely the service part, was something that I was kind of already doing in my program. But, joining forces with She Recovers, and that just kind of opened the doors for me. And, it has shifted where my career path is going, and it's a beautiful change. It's, something that 7 years ago, I would have never have, um, I would have never have guessed that, okay, events, sure, but wellness events, like events that make you feel like really good and that you're connecting with people on a level that's not just, going to a cocktail party and having some good food or whatever. It's much more meaningful than that. So, yeah, so it's been a really,
That's interesting. I feel you. Like you said like, okay, I would have never seen this coming, but it seems so right though, that you're like, well, why didn't I see it coming? I don't know, right? You never know why, but it's like, yeah, um, I've actually never been able to extricate my work life from being around people that use and drink, because I'm a musician. So I play at bars. I prefer to try to organize events in such a way that, people have the option to, come and not feel pressured to drink, in that
yeah,
environment. But the thing is that one of the tough things to come to terms with was that not everybody's an alcoholic and other people can drink alcohol without it ruining their lives. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around that for the longest time. But, you know, um, and in fact, part of my job as a musician who plays at a venue where they sell alcohol is to like be like, hey, tip your bartender,
yeah,
drink responsibly, but keep drinking,
yeah,
spend your money here, Um, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. I was actually at it's 4th of July last night. I was at a 4th of July party, and this is a cool thing that happens. People will, talk to me about, you know, loved ones or, friends of theirs that are, that are in recovery. And my friend pointed out to me this guy. She goes, "Oh, he's 11 months sober today, and I'm so proud of him for being here, and I was like, oh, well, I'm definitely going up to that guy now,
yeah, yeah,
hear that you're a sober guy. He's like, yeah, I am. So we're getting ready to go to a meeting together probably this week or whatever. So we ended up chatting and, get keeping each other company because most of the people there were drinking. Um,
yeah,
it's not really bothersome to me anymore. It was at first. There was a period where I would be around people that were drinking and I'd have to leave, and that was totally fine. I had to give myself permission to not put myself through
yeah,
that. You know what I mean? Instead of,
yeah, totally,
yeah. So,
totally. Got to be able to pull the ripcord, right?
get to know
I
one.
actually, I actually enjoy that now. I mean, because I'm a pretty social person, and I, love music, and I love dressing up and going out, and I would say I'm kind of half extrovert, introvert, but I love, especially now, of course, since we've been cooped up for so long, but we're starting, things are opening and we're, going places. But I that moment where I can go, I can just sit around and I kind of take a look at everybody. They're all, drinking, and I'm like, yeah, it's my time to go. I just, like I said, I love pulling the ripcord, and I love going home and going, I had a fantastic time, and I'm going to sleep well tonight, and I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to feel great and do all the shit that I need to do. And it's beautiful. Like, it's perfect.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, totally.
Here's a quick question for you about She Recovers. Now, She Recovers uh, creates events and spaces for women to, feel safe and recover in their own kind of safe space. But are you guys an entry point for people that are like new to recovery, or do you suggest that they go to a recovery center, um, you know, detox?
Yeah, we're new. I mean, and we don't, we like to say that we're not a 12-step recovery program. We support all pathways and criticize none. So, that means that, we do have, folks coming into our community that are, maybe still using and curious, and they want to check out the community. They want to check out the resources. We have, you know, women that are already steeped in, kind of their program coming in. Um, we have people that are confused that, like, maybe some, like you said, sometimes 12-step, that traditional 12-step model doesn't work for some women. So they're seeking something. So, it really is one of those things where we welcome people where they're at. We aim to kind of co-create a welcoming and a supportive environment, whether it's in our, we've got private Facebook groups, we have Zoom gatherings daily, like a lot of online offerings right now, of course. We've got yoga, we've got dance, we've got what we call Mental Health Monday workshops, which are just a variety of speakers that come on and speak about mental health topics. So a lot of online offerings for people and they're all free, to come and check out. So we really, I would say, especially over the last year and a half, like our community went from about, I think we were about 3,000, our private Facebook community was about 3,000 when the pandemic started. And I think we're at about 8,000 now. So lots of growth. Yeah. And lots of, really, certainly lots of women recovering from alcohol addiction and opioid addiction in our community. But we've really seen, I think as recovery, the idea of recovery, and, again, one of our sayings, we're all recovering from something. Sometimes the thing that you're using is only a symptom of, deeper stuff. And recovery is that place that you get to explore these things and maybe unpack some of this stuff and maybe start to heal, for lack of a better word. So we've got a really, I would say, a diverse community, a growing diverse community. Yeah, it's been a trip. It's lots of changes since I began, when it was just literally like, 5 women, hopping on a plane to New York and deciding they were going to do an event together and doing it. And really, it being our first big event, somehow miraculously we pulled it off. But, from that event in 2017 to where we are now, there's been lots of growth, lots of challenge.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw over at Oasis, or if you hit my social media, I got this job with Oasis Recovery Center in Asheville. I've been
Yeah, I saw that.
I've been working with them for a little over a year, and like you said, you're like, I would have never foreseen myself, like you said, you didn't foresee yourself working as an events coordinator for wellness, events, but I didn't see myself being a life coach for, young men in recovery, or a behavioral health technician, or, the the host of a podcast about recovery,
Yeah, yeah.
reach the masses. But I think a really good point of entry, just to talk the company up that I work with, is so good. They're very trauma informed therapists, and we have gender specific groups and stuff. So for folks that are detoxing, some serious substances like alcohol and barbiturates, as can be kind of dangerous to detox without, medical
Yeah.
supervision. As a point of entry, I think Oasis is a really good option for people. I didn't go to a recovery center when I first got
Yeah.
sober. I just started going to meetings. I started going every day, but so obviously it's not like absolutely 100% necessary, but I think that the way that it sets you up for success with all of the tools they end up giving you, and all of that, like, really individualized support, and the nature therapy and music therapy and all of these, like, things that you get exposed to, like mindfulness recovery
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
meditation and trauma informed yoga stuff that we do, and qigong, and we even have them, we even give them acupuncture. There's an acupuncturist that comes in and gives them acupuncture, so they get like so
Oh,
much.
cool.
And they're like walking around in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina and going fishing and swimming, and we take them out on lakes and boats and stuff. It's like, you know, because recovery can be, not to scare anybody that's thinking about doing this, it can be the hardest work of your life in some ways. But being set up in a way, and that's why I think it's essential to, find your community, and find other
Yeah.
people to do it with, right? Whether it's something like what you're doing, or you start good point of entry someplace like Oasis, or even just going to meetings. But it's essential to have that support, because we can't do it alone. If we try to do it alone, like our minds will just drive us crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things like, when you remove the thing that your life has been focused around for however long it's been, you remove that big giant thing, there's a big hole there. So, I likened, my sort of journey, of course, it was wine. I was the wine connoisseur and, just pouring bottles of it in the hole. And that's how I lived for a long time. And then when I quit that, the hole is still there. You got to fill up the hole, right? So that idea of going somewhere where they're going to offer you kind of, all of these things that you can try. And the beauty is, you may resonate with some of the things. You may be like, yeah, that's not for me. But you can create, your own recovery. And, I still am doing that. I'm still, and I think I'll be doing that forever. I'm phasing in and out of things. I try some things for a while, I let them go.
What are some of the things that you fell in love with in recovery?
Um, for me, well, I think I probably started, I've done yoga pretty much my whole life, but kind of felt, it's hard to do yoga when you're hungover. So it was kind of back burner for a while, but really focused in on yoga and went on to, get my teacher training and all that kind of stuff. But, everything from reading a lot of books. There's so many great authors out there that are writing amazing books, to podcasts, to, getting sort of really connected in nature. I'm living right now in literally a cabin. It's built in 1870 in the woods. I have like my backyard is like I walk out and it's nature and trees and
Where?
critters, and it's actually in Canada, in Ontario, Canada.
Well, look
Yeah.
at it. We're having an international conversation right now. You're in the woods. I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, are you? There you go. So, yes. What are the other? Well, mindfulness, meditation, music. Like, really. I mean, I've always loved music. You know, sang, played, did that whole thing. Still, when I stopped, was still really loving music. But I feel like I have a whole different relationship with it now. It's not, I don't know, again, the filter or the barrier has been removed so I can really experience music. And I would say that would lead me to, one of the most important things that I've reclaimed in recovery has been dance. I was a dancer, since I was a kid, and it wasn't always healthy. When you're doing the dance thing and you're a teenager, you're not eating and doing that whole comparison thing. So I had that phase, and then I had the club phase where I was dancing in clubs and doing all sorts of drugs and drinking my face off, which was fun.
Sure.
Yeah. But now I'm back in, like it's like I've reclaimed this thing that I've loved all my life, and now it's a tool. And it had such a profound effect on me and my recovery, like being able to use movement um, as a tool to process my emotions, to shift my energy, to find space, not only in my body, but space around me to feel more expansive. And I loved it so much that I was like, well, I gotta create this for our community. Like, I gotta do this. Women should be dancing. And we were in Los Angeles in 2018. We did our big event in LA, and I was determined that we needed to dance. And so I fought on our team to have a dance night. And it turned out we decided on a silent disco. We were in the Wilshire Garden of the Beverly Hilton silent disco. So like maybe 250, 300 women with the headphones on and the flashing lights. And women lost their minds. Like there was like just like tears and singing out loud, and they were so happy. And it was an amazing moment, an amazing night. And from there I was like, yeah, okay, we got to do this. So I developed the program that we have now called She Recovers Dance, and I'm doing it on Zoom, of course, but it's just basically a experience that allows you to explore your own movement in a supportive space. And the idea is that everyone can dance, everyone moves in their own beautiful, unique way, and there's lots of medicine in that. Tapping into that movement and breath can be really cathartic and healing, and you can just work stuff out on the dance floor. So
There's a group here called Ecstatic Dance, and they were doing a silent disco thing on the beach the other day while I was in Venice Beach, and it was so cool to see them doing that. And I didn't want to join them just in that moment. I was like, that's not what I came here for today, but I will be doing that in the future, just dance my
yeah, it's
that
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's there's a static dance community here too. I go when I can, and yeah, it's been. You were mentioning earlier about the idea that recovery is hard work, and I think that there's got to be joy. There's got like that's a part of us being able to build resilience to meet life as it's going to meet us sometimes, which is, smacking us down. So that joy piece is so important. And dance and music and, again, finding anything that you love, anything that I always say too, things that you loved when you were a kid, you probably still really love. And
yeah,
there's probably a way to bring that into your life.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I had to set out on a an odyssey of self-discovery when I first got sober, as so many of us do, because I had no idea what I liked to do for fun. None.
Yeah.
So I started like I'm like, what do I do? Do I want to what did I like doing? Before I started drinking? I guess I liked fishing, like did I like camping? And then you try all these things and you're like, okay, and then the things that you think that you do love, right? Like things that you're like, okay, I love this, and then you go and do it, and you're like, I don't even like this. How do I do it?
Totally.
So
Totally.
so incredible finding yourself and finding all these things that you love and finding extreme joy. Yes, it's hard work to recover in some ways sometimes, but it doesn't have to be all the time, and it can't be, and it won't be. Just,
Yeah.
you have to stick through it sometimes. Sometimes, like I said, I've told some of these guys and gals that came through Oasis, I'd be like, sometimes it's going to be tough, and you just kind of have to put your chin down and keep swinging for a second, and then once you
Yeah.
get through those rough patches, take a breath and go do something that you love, and
Yeah.
that's why I ask everybody on this podcast, what'd you fall in love with when you recovered? Because I think that's important for people to hear what their options are. And the answer is it's unlimited. It's unlimited.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
One of my friends that works at Oasis, his name's Jeremy, he said, as soon as I make that one admission of powerlessness, this one thing that I cannot defeat or control, I am open myself up to a life of limitless possibilities. And I was like,
Love that.
that's that's it right there, That's
Possibilities, right? Like that's, I having lots of conversations. I'm actually finishing up my recovery coaching. I'm doing the IAPRC recovery coaching program. So I'm on my life skills, which is the very end of the program. I'm talking meeting weekly for this 2 hour live skills. We're kind of guided by a coach, and having lots of conversations with coach, friends and mentors. And the subject of possibilities is like coming up a lot, and what we need, or what I need to do in my life to bring in more possibility. And it's really, again, I think, the willingness, to kind of forget everything that you think you know, and open up to, I don't know, I guess open up to, well, maybe it's that idea of, instead of saying, no, this is the way it's going to go. This is the way that I know it's going to go. Opening up to that idea of that, not sure which way it's going to go. And what if I just kind of sat back and just waited for some possibilities to show up, some opportunities,
More often, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I liken it a lot when I'm facilitating dance, to just creating space in our lives so that things can show up, so that things have space to show up in our lives, and creating space by, just letting go of the things that are not serving you, saying no to things that are not serving you. I'm consider myself a recovering, perfectionist, and somebody who I can fill up my schedule, like literally from morning until night, and forget that I've left no space.
Right.
And when I leave space, then possibility can arrive. So yeah.
Saying, someone was uh, pointing that out to me, that sometimes I have to say no, but I have to think of it as saying yes to other things. I'm saying yes to all these other possibilities by saying no to this. So really what I'm saying is yes to no.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Peyton, it was really, really great chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this, and stay in touch with me. Let me know the next time you come to Los Angeles to do a retreat, and maybe we'll be able to meet up and have coffee or something.
Absolutely, I will. I'll keep in touch. I wanted to tell you that, you know, he recovers is, we've talked about that. We got some, it's a subject that's been talked about. So you never know. We may be looking for someone to to help guide us in future. And yes, we're in Miami actually in April of next year. I did a bunch of work today. We're getting ready to relaunch registration for our event, our big event in Miami, which was supposed to be in 2020. Now, of course, it's postponed to 2022, but hopefully we'll get back to LA. I love LA. It's a great city. Yeah,
All right. Well, then, hit me up when you're here and let me know what's
will
going
do.
on. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Take care.